Hey, what's up? Silas here. So in this video, there's this article I found in this paper here in Nairobi, Kenya that I just had to come out and read this for you guys. It's going to be it's an issue. Some of you who may have been following this channel or just I've had some videos such as I think it was white female privilege, talking about how white Western women are the most privileged group of people that have ever existed in the world. I've had other videos kind of questioning feminism, saying social justice warring, like social justice warriors and things like this, are the equivalent of female gaming, where they don't take it that seriously. I even attended the Women's March, the big Women's March in Washington, D.C. after President Donald J. Trump's inauguration, and I was walking around looking at the smiles on these people's faces and thinking, why are you protesting? How are you protesting? What are the issues that feminism really wants? I've had a couple of videos talking about how absurd this wage gap thing. It's not a wage gap. It's women work less. If you look at hour for hour, on average, they say, okay, the average job, and then they say, okay, a woman who works 40 hours is being put at the same or as a man who's working 45 or something like that. And then if you count for that, the wage gap goes. People are comparing engineers, which is like a 90% male field, to a field like school teachers, like elementary school teachers, which is again a 95% female field. And then saying, okay, what's the average wage? Of course the teachers are going to be paid less. There's more teachers and things like that. It's so some of these frustrations I've had, and then because I've had a life where you see certain things in certain places, and then you see people in a much worse situation somewhere else who are very similar to those people, and people are quiet. And I've gone at the African American community as well, because the black community in the United States of America, and I think I'm correct with this to say that the black community is not necessarily all Negro people. It's not all people like this around the world. They say it's about representation by people that look like them. But we do know it's not about people who look like them, because when it goes to certain places and like, oh, these people look like you, but they're conservative. These people look like you, but they don't agree with your certain policies and certain things that you want. Oh, you're for gun control, but these people look like you, but they're not for it. They want more people to have guns. So you don't want to invite those people in. You don't want those people talking at events. You want to deplatform these people. So I get it. It's about the way people think. So they look at the African American black community in the United States of America, and they look at the issues going on there, and then they have Black Lives Matter, and they're standing up for that, standing up for their sisters and brothers out there. And then there was this thing that happened when Black Panther movie came out. There was this clashing of worlds, I think, where you had these people looking at this supposedly imaginary African place and saying, "Wow, what if Africa was like that?" Maybe some of them even thought the if this if the horrible Atlantic slave trade didn't occur. I mean, they don't really mention the Saharan slave trade, because that happened too, when people were taken from Eastern Africa through the Sahara and things like that. But let me get to the point. They think maybe if Africans, if all Negro people, there was actually a chance if all of us could come together, and then after that, maybe there could be some kind of unison. Maybe we could have a Wakanda type thing in the real world. Something like that could be possible. And then I want to tell people more about some of the things that are happening here in a place like Kenya. Nairobi, Kenya is where I am. This is an article, 10 Types of Nairobi Wives. And I just want you guys to think, I mean, look at America. You have someone like Oprah, who's a billionaire. She's beloved by so many people, so famous, so out there, doing so much good. She's a woman of different weight, and she even besides that, people overlook that. She's breaking these Western beauty standards and going out there and just being a proud, strong woman that people look up to in different ways and things like that. So there's someone like that. There's someone like Senator Kamala Harris, who was just recently, I think on the Ellen show or something. She was on there, and she was making fun of, I think, killing the vice president of the United States of America and the president, Donald J. Trump. But you see, people understand that yes, these are people. She's more than. Wait, let me double check something. With Kamala Harris, I mean, I've seen her. She has that flowing hair. It's very light skinned, and let me see. Okay, it says Kamala Harris, Jamaican father and Tamil Indian mother, or what? Okay, so, well, I mean, well, President Obama was black, so I mean that counts. She counts as a black woman, and look, she has position. People are talking about how she might be the next presidential candidate in 2020 to run against Trump. And I know here in Kenya, especially with the relationship between Indians and the Negroes and the indigenous people, especially when the British brought them over during colonial times, like there's some tension there. And if you were half Indian, Tamil Indian, you definitely wouldn't be considered to be black. But that's here, and but that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm trying to tell you guys about how things are here. So this is the article. I'm going to get into the article. I'm going to read the 10 points, and please bear with me. It might be tough for some of you guys to listen, but just imagine and understand the plight of some people that some people are going through, while you guys. I mean, keep this in mind and keep Kenyan women in mind, keep Kenyan culture in mind, and see if you guys can represent, because we do have, you walk around in matatus, you'll have a kind of thing where America has an oversized representation. The things that happen in America inspire other countries, and then they say, okay, look, we can be like that. We look at celebrities out there, and then those celebrities can be examples for the world, and that's why they have so much power in the United States of America. Just like how you're talking about how Donald J. Trump was such a negative thing. He's being a negative thing, and he's damaging the world because he's inspiring all these racists and people like this. And, like Joss Whedon was like, he should die slowly. He's inspiring these despots and things like that. And you have even these people, but these kind of white allies out there. Please come and help these Kenyan women. Let's just get into this article. So 10 types of Nairobi wives. Kenyan women make all kinds of wives, from the wapole ones, the noisy ones, to the ones who live in a world of their own. Here are 10 types of wives. So number 1, the nomadic wife. Her family resides in a rented apartment in Ongata Rongai, yet her bras, panties, and blouses are in other men's houses in Juja, Umoja, and Kingangop. She leaves home every Thursday and resurfaces on Monday evening in fresh clothes, tired as a lazy mosquito. These sort gets drunk and sips from the mug of adultery the whole weekend, whether or not they have the funds. So right here, they're trying to pick on women and blame them for just going out with this adultery thing. And get back to the adultery comes up a lot here. But where is the man in this? Why are they blaming the woman in this? Why are they focusing and putting the blame on the woman in this? Where's the man's position? I mean, relationships are two people. Where is the man in this whole situation? Why doesn't he man up? Why don't they actually point this out and expect this to happen from the person? Okay, moving on. The Pumbafu one. This is the one that won't let her mother visit since her husband can't stand the monster-in-law. Pumbafu wives fear their husbands so much that their own mothers, who gave them nyonyo, can't drop by with malenge, termites, and avocado from shags. In the words of Atwoli, shenzi. Now shenzi is like mshenzi, like go away. And then nyonyo here is just the breast. It's what they call breastfeeding. Malenge is a type of food. I think, I'm not quite sure if malenge is the one. No, that's irio. It's some kind of like mashed food, and it's like some meal, things like that, boiled meal. Termites is actually just termites. When it rains here, you might have seen this on like National Geographic, those type of things. When you go out in the savannah, they have those massive anthills. Well, the anthills in some places get pretty big, but these ants, these termites, they're rather big, and they come out and they swarm out during the rains, and they get caught, and they normally get dried, and then they get eaten, and it's really tasty, really healthy. I really like this one they do in Luyaland, where they mix these mushrooms, these special mushrooms that come from there. I mean, they cultivate these mushrooms everywhere else. But anyway, I'm digressing. Sorry. Let's focus on the wives here. So the Pumbafu one, they're talking about how this is somebody who's been held down by the husband. You see here, the husband is the one who's imposing, that breaking up the relationship that she has with her wife, with her mother, by saying, don't bring them here. And you see, they're trying to act like this is a negative thing. Why don't they focus here on the husband having the issue with the mother-in-law? Why doesn't he actually fix that? And you can see this is how the men continue to damage relationships of many women. So please come and keep concerned and be helpful, please. Okay. Next one. The selfish one. This type who checks in on the husband 60 times in a day, asking stupid questions. You will hear the husband trembling, saying, Guy, Mama Dani is almost calling. I need to rush home. They will not allow their husbands to enjoy a weekend of sports, laughter, pombe, and adultery. You see here now the pombe is a beer, so they're talking about how somebody. But what if she just cares? You know, I mean, people don't get into relationships to not be with somebody. You get into a relationship so you can spend time with them. So the person wants to call in, and maybe she's at home, maybe she's just bored. You know, I mean, yeah, I know it's not as technologically advanced here in Kenya, so we don't have all the things like vacuum cleaners and all these things. And I know sometimes the kids stay home. I know not everyone can afford having like a house help, so I do get that. So, but even if they're doing more things in the house, it gets boring. Women need more stimulation. So when the man is out there doing all these things, maybe she's just interested. She wants to be a part of it. So why is this stupid questions? There's no stupid questions. There's only stupid answers. There's stupid people and stupid men. I mean, we need to think about what we're talking about. Why are we dealing with women this way? Okay, the next one, the calm soul. Help me understand this. Why would a woman have a husband stay home, tend to the house, punish her kids when they fart loudly, and when she gets home from the pub at 2 in the morning, her huzzy opens the door but refuses to sleep in their matrimonial bed? Any Nairobi wife enduring the cold treatment? If so, drop us a mail. You see here, at least they're actually trying to make an outreach and saying this cold treatment, when you're married, you're supposed to spend time together. I know in the past, even in the past, it's not, I think even in the 1950s in the United States of America, husbands and wives used to have separate beds, even after they were married, like I said, husbands and wives. And I do get that you have some situations where people don't even meet, but then once you've had kids and it's the year 2018, it's the current year. I mean, we have to get to a point where people can get over this. Yes, I know she went out, but she's been at home doing all these things, raising your kids and things like that. And then she wants to just have some time to let down, and she comes out. I know bars normally close. Some bars close at 2, some close at 5. So she, at least she doesn't stay out the whole night, and she comes home, and then the next day she's still taking care of the parents. She's still there. So I know that the husband might have been at work, but this whole cold treatment thing, I mean, just reach out and try to talk to them and try to actually communicate and have an interaction with them. Do better. Do better. Okay, next one. Game iko down. We have Nairobi wives whose husbands sleep with anything in skirts, and everyone in the neighborhood knows it except her. Well, in most cases, it is because game yake iko down. Okay, for those who know Swahili, this is victim blaming. They're saying that the husband is sleeping with all these other people because the women isn't doing much. You know, first of all, Kenya tries to act like, oh, we're traditional or this and this. And then they say, okay, we're traditional. And then you have these men coming back and saying, no, well, women need to step up. Women need to initiate things. What do you want? What do you want from people? What do you want from these people? What do you want from these women? Do you want them to actually be traditional? Or do you want them to take on the manly roles and stand up and actually put the game out there? You know, this is ridiculous. Game yake go down. What? Because she's not doing. What do you want her to do? So are you going to go get it from other people? Are these people romancing you? Are these people taking you out? Are these people initiating things? You're just sleeping with people. Just trying to make an excuse. It's ridiculous. Ah, okay. Next, Dere and Shamba Boy chewers. Okay, sorry about that. That was really annoying. Just started thinking about people get cheated on. It's really, the victim blaming thing is, it's terrible. Okay, so man, moving on. Number 6, Dere and Shamba Boy chewers. We've Nairobi wives whose mere stare at, or gaze at a Shamba Boy makes a guy go jiggy jiggy. These are sharpshooters. When they aim at your house help, they don't miss. While other wives are being productive in chamas, these ones are busy playing hide and seek with various house help in the neighborhood. Okay, so here, as I mentioned before, people don't really afford, not everybody can afford to have house help. And if you do, you normally like middle class, upper middle class. And you have these situations where these are women who are accomplished and they're intelligent women and they expect more out of life. And you have these situations where you have these husbands who are workaholics, they go out there and then they have house help, they have a driver sometimes, they have a houseboy. This Shamba Boy is this, when you have somebody helping in your house, they normally are called Shamba Boy. It's a little bit of a derogatory term because like they normally like do things in the house and then they help outside. But there's and Okay, so these women are left at home. We often have these husbands who get these trophy wives, and then they get these people there, and then they expect them to just sit at home. And now they're saying, oh, the women are preying on these men. They're going to try to say there's a power discrepancy and say that, oh yes, because these women are employing and then they live in this estate, so there's many different people. So you can go to a situation where it's like, okay, if you're in an estate, maybe there's like 20 houses, so they could be maybe like 5 different people. So they're saying like they're going around, but then men are the ones who prey on women. This whole idea that it's the woman looking at the man and the jiggy jiggy is kind of like, it's not getting jiggy with it. It's kind of like getting jiggy with it in a way where jiggy jiggy is kind of like getting them all like hot and bothered. But we know these men are base men. They're just hot and bothered anyway. So trying to act like it's the woman who's initiating this and then sleeping around with these people, this doesn't happen. I mean, we know men cheat more, like, right? Okay, yes, I know this figure is saying like women also cheat and they don't get caught as much, but like, anyway, this is ridiculous. They're not preying on drivers and Shamba boys. If anything, these drivers and Shamba boys are just trying to help out. They're just trying to like be responsible people. I mean, yeah, I know they have their jobs to worry about. If they get caught for if they rebut this person, they might lose their jobs, and they're making it very low income some situation. They have families, but then even in that situation, why are these men doing that? If they have to worry about their jobs and their families, and they're also cheating on their wife back home, so women are still getting hurt. So you see what I'm saying here? Like it's horrible. We need to stop this. Okay, next one. Number 7, husband snatchers. You have to be very careful around this type. They go to church, kiss their kids goodnight, and appear polite and suave. They are always friendly to their neighbors, yet in the background, they break the 7th, 8th, and 10th commandments. They commit adultery, steal the husbands of others, and covet their neighbors' playboys. And miraculously, as they do all of this, their marriages never break. Which god do these lucky women worship? Beelzebub or Baal? Okay, see here they're trying to bring in some biblical stuff here, trying to talk about they're wearing like worshiping Beelzebub and Baal, talking about they're worshiping the devils and things like this. You see, they're really trying to impugn the character of these people. First before game equal down, now if game equal jewel, when game is up, where they have this attractiveness, now it's not, now all of a sudden it's them who are doing these things behind them. Maybe they're being preyed on. You already told, these are playboys, right? These playboys are preying after these women. So this is a hot, powerful, intelligent woman. She goes to church. She's a catch. And yeah, so people are going to prey on her. So this whole idea that, oh, she's the one whose husband snatching. No, she's the one being grabbed. She's the one, I mean, this whole idea that women, like they said, ew. Okay, so I was defending President Donald J. Trump, and I talked about this in a different street. And like, yeah, they're saying like, it's a situation where women let you do these things, and people did disagree. And I think I see it in this. They're saying, oh, the women is snatching the men, and President Donald J. Trump was like, yeah, he let you grab him by the what? This whole let is not there, I know maybe white women can do it, maybe American empowered women can do this, but this is Kenya. Like, they don't snatch people. They're the ones being snatched. They're the ones being grabbed. They're the ones being like, no. So this kind of thing is so dismissive of it. And this whole like go to church, yeah, I mean, first of all, it's not their religion. This is white people's religion. White colonialists came and they brought this religion of Jesus Christ. This Jew who started this religion. And I know there's also this one thing, and people talking about how, like, I know there's people talking about in race realists, some of them are talking about how the Jews are starting these negative things in the world, and they're the ones in charge of a lot of negative things happening in the West. And Jesus was a Jew. He started Christianity. This religion started from a Jew. So we're seeing the effect that it's had here in Kenya, and hey, maybe there's something behind that. Maybe there's something behind this Jew thing. I don't know. Well, you tell me. And just to be specific, I'm not attacking Jews here. I'm just saying this is a general thing. Not all Jews, of course. I mean, we know this, right? It's not like a direct attack on people. And people are going to say, oh, like Christianity is the only group that's being attacked. No, enough out of you. I don't want to hear that. Anyway, moving on to the next one. Dame Kali. The title says it all. Though we can't all be winners, some dedicated husbands won themselves ritzy dames for wives. The husband buys her weaves, cigarettes, alcohol, tampons, and stockings. Does house chores. He buys, plans, and prepares the meals. Heck, he even pays the fees for the wife's siblings and takes care of the family. It's not that bad, though. Is it not written, and the two shall become one in holy matrimony? And what a woman can do, a man can do, right? So you see here, this is what I'm talking about, the split gender roles. I'm talking about ritzy dames, Dame Kali, just that term. You guys might know, some of you guys might have some Indian background. Kali was a god of destruction in them. And in Swahili, now I don't know if this actual term came in from Swahili originally, and there are some situations where these things are mixed together. Swahili kind of is a language that came from the Middle Eastern people. The Swahili peoples came in the coast in Mombasa. Then there was interaction there. This was actually after after enduring the Saharan slave trade that I mentioned before. It was a horrible, horrible thing. Like 90% death rate for the slaves that were taken from sub-Saharan Africa through the Sahara. Then when you got to the Middle East, they were castrated the males, and then they killed the kids of the female concubines. But that's neither here nor there. I'm kind of digressing. It's just this article is just so infuriating. So to call Kali, to already put this Kali term, Kali's in Swahili, it's like somebody who's harsh. Like a dog that's Kali is like a dog that barks at you, like a pit bull, like a Kali dog. But anyway, so you have this kind of situation where they're talking about this is a woman. They're talking about how this is a Kali woman, how she's too demanding and things like this. And then they talk about a ritzy dame for a wife. But this is a man. Aren't they picking? Aren't the men picking this situation? So you know who the woman was. What, you can't buy somebody tampons? You can't buy them weaves. Don't you want them to look good? Like if they want to look good and things like that, this is just, I mean, female like hygienic products. What's wrong with doing these? So what if you can cook and clean? I mean, you could do that too. Don't you have to do it for yourself anyway? I mean, if you didn't have a wife, what are you going to do? You're going to just starve? So cooking and preparing and making food, isn't that just the thing that you're supposed to do anyway? So you're supposed to get like kudos for that? Is that what the man's asking? Or you're supposed to oh, I'm supposed to clap for you because you cook and clean, and don't you need to eat as well? Don't you need to clean? So come on, this is ridiculous. And then yes, your family's your family. Why is it her family? It wasn't just our family. What happened to this? Like they said here, the holy matrimony. I know it's talking about the Bible and stuff like that, but marriages happened before Christianity, and they're quoting from the Bible here. But anyway, I mean, people come together. Why are you considering her relatives not your relatives as a man? You got to man up. This is part of what you do. So again, this is a plight of Kenyan women that I have to deal with here. This is what's happening. So as I said, please, spread this message. If we can have some sisters and brothers out in the United States of America, in the United Kingdom, in other places in Europe where there's black diaspora, where there's Negro diaspora, please help out, spread the word. I mean, you guys can change a lot. Okay, almost at the end here. Number 9. She sleeps with women. Men, your wife could be gay. It's not bad. The president said it's a non-issue, or how do you see it? She might be the ideal woman. Great sense of humor, keeps the house in order without complaining, and accompanies you to watch sports and hang out. Let's just say she's too good to be true. Yet the truth, you are yet to know that your main girl is a boyfriend to another woman. So you see here is this is homophobia type thing. This is a thing because women in general, I think, are a lot more open to this. I think they said it was something like 69% of 69 sounds like too much of a innuendo figure, but I think it's at least over 60% of college women in the United States of America, college students that were said they had some kind of lesbianic experience. I don't think it's that high with men. So it's clear that women are more like in touch with their sexuality, and maybe women are just more caring. So it's not necessarily that she's actually like full-blown lesbian. And you see here, like even the president of Kenya, I know Kenya is close to Uganda, and in Uganda I think like homosexuality is illegal, but there's always this double standard, like a lot of men who are like, yes, gay people are disgusting, homosexuality is disgusting. They'll do this, and they'll say and they'll say they'll do that, and then they'll still watch like pornographic material of lesbians. And they say that yes, because men are more visual, like they can put themselves in that situation. But in this situation, maybe the woman just wants something that the man. And in this situation, it's not that bad because like you're in that situation, and look, I mean, you don't have the equipment, you don't have something. Because here there's still more in the reality. I know people just say gender is a social construct, but gender is based on biology, and then like there's some actual equipment that you can't have. Like I know this is going to be a little R-rated, but with women, like they're saying here, you can be the boyfriend. When you're having that intercourse thing, there's more things that women can do, places things can be placed in, pleasure spots and things like that. There's equipment that the woman can put on to kind of have some of the effects that men have and also keep going. They don't have the whole thing of just having that one like climax and then having some time off. The woman can keep going over. So there's a lot of things I think in the actual ins and outs of this that makes sense why a woman would want this extra thing. And then there's also the camaraderie, the friendship that comes from this, the caring and things like that. So you see, you have to understand it's a little different for women when they do this. You know, even the president has admitted, I know it's not Uganda. Uganda, it's illegal. Kenya, different country, more ahead. So that's what I'm saying. You guys can help. We can just need that little extra boost to get us over the top. And I think you guys can help us a lot with that. So, yeah, so and I know people might think like, oh, it's okay, yeah, if you have kids involved, but she's still staying together. I mean, the family's still together, right? She's not leaving you for this woman. She's still in the house. You still do things together. So it's kind of like a roommate with like you're starting a family together. It's like friends with benefits. And what's wrong with benefits? People like benefits, right? I mean, welfare. It's like it's not like welfare. It's not like relationship welfare, but kind of is because like you're there and then you're getting these stuff for free and just has well anyway. So the last one, the mistreated type. Husband beats or shames the out of her. Research indicates that every 37th second, a woman is mistreated and abused by a man. Our city hosts a host of good women whose husbands charaza them like they do their kids. And the sad thing is that these women act brave and strong only to deflate when their kids in front of their friends and colleagues says, Dada alisema, usiongee na baba Nel, atakuchapa kama ile siku. So this one is about domestic violence, and they're talking about how often that women are abused. This is something that people know. And I know it's being reduced in the United States of America, and there's more kind of situations where you can call the police, and they have this law in the United States of America. I don't know if you guys know about it, that it gets to a situation, men and women, I know gender is just a social construct, but most men are stronger than women, and that's the same here in Kenya. You know, they're just bigger and stronger. So they have this thing in the United States of America where if there's a domestic violence situation, even if no one calls from the house, if somebody from outside calls, in most places they have these rules. In many places, I don't want to say most, I don't know how many, but in many places they call and the cop has to take away the bigger person and they take away the man just to be safe because the men are more dangerous. I mean, yes, I know men, that's figures saying that men and women are initiate violence at the same amount. Whatever. I just leave that alone because men kill more women. That's known. So it's different. I mean, yeah, if you're hitting somebody, you're talking about like a slap on the face is the same as a punch. Like somebody's fist is the size of your head and punching you. That's supposed to be the same. You're trying to pretend like this is the same thing. It's not. I mean, have something where you understand like it's a spectrum. Like violence is a spectrum, right? I mean, it's not like I know. Like yes, I know cat whistling. People say like, oh, if somebody's walking down the street and then you do like a wolf whistle. I think is it cat whistling or wolf whistling? I don't know. When people say like, oh, you're hot and then things like that, that's assault. And yes, I know that's being put in the same way as like assault when somebody actually like physically tries to like sexually molest somebody. They're saying that's the same. But yeah, I know they're talking. So yes, I know it's abuse. But come on, we can't treat it like the same thing. We can't expect these people to be held in the same way and damned by the same way. You know, that's just ridiculous if you did that. You have to understand there's a spectrum and some things are done in certain ways and some things are done in other ways. And also like in this situation, what did the man do to expect this beating? So when you talk about, yeah, women hit the men, but you see, they're not hitting them that much. They're slapping them, doing these things. And this is the thing that happens. We used to see this thing on TV regularly. Women used to like, a man would say something, the woman would slap them. And that's a traditional thing. Like you guys are talking about traditionalists. So you want women to stand up for themselves. You know, you say, okay, women should stand up for themselves instead of asking for men to do things. And then when women want to defend themselves, then you start saying, oh, they're being abusive at the home. So this was double standards. So anyway. But you see this thing also like hitting the kids. I'm not going to touch on that because that's a very serious issue to me. I have a serious peaceful parenting, hands up, don't hit. I'm not going to talk about kid abuse that much in this one. But here, this is the part that really struck me. When it says here, Dada lisema usongee na baba Nel, atakuchapa kama ile siku. This is being done in front of the kids. So this is saying the kid is saying to the mother while the mother is talking to Baba Nel is Nell's dad, so it's a neighborhood, a friend, and she's saying, Dad told you not to speak to this man because he'll beat you like he did the other day. So this is a repeated thing. The kids see this. The kids grow up in this thing. They reflect this violence. They repeat this violence, and then they go out, and the cycle continues. This is why we need your help out there. So that's it for the article, and thanks for listening. I'm going to get into now the rest of this. Okay, so just want to get into this right now. That this whole article that I found. If you guys watched the video that I had on Sunday, last Sunday, I have this video where I wake up in the morning on Sundays and I go out and I get the newspaper and I read the stuff. And this newspaper on what's it called? I forget what it's called. The Nairobian really stuck out to me because it had this story about this guy, this conman who conned some female politicians here in Kenya. And and then on the first page there was this article called 10 types of Nairobi husbands. And I was just going to read the 10 types of Nairobi husbands thing, but I thought, hey, what if I actually just switch it around in the genders and switch everything that was referring to a female to a male? And that's what I did with this article. So the article is the one that's actually going to be there. I'm going to have that down there. And the one I've been showing you in the pictures, there's actually in this program. Anyway, so I switched it around, and let me just read you a couple of the. Maybe I'll read you a couple. Let me find the actual article with the way it's written, and I'll leave a link to both of them. Both of these will be there and below. The one I switched up using Adobe Dream, Adobe Acrobat, switched the PDF and switched out the text to switch it to men. That's what's been on the screen as I've been reading this. And there's also going to be the actual version of it. And I'm going to read a couple of the ones for you guys to see how it is when it sounds, when it's a husband, when it's a man. Because in a lot of these situations, you just see a certain article, and if it's put in a situation, this is about a woman, people react in a certain way and they say, I can't believe the woman's being treated this way. But when you talk about this is about a man, they just ignore it. It's okay to talk about men that way. A simple, very big example here, for me, I wasn't kidding when I was talking about the hands up, don't hit thing. For me, that's a core thing to me. Child abuse. When you talk about child genital mutilation, you talk about female genital mutilation, it's a thing that at the international level, at the United Nations level, there is no government, reputable government in good standing in the world that does not talk about female genital mutilations. The countries where it's actually a lot more prevalent, the government may not come out and actually damn it, but you won't walk around like you do in Kenya and just see signs, these massive signs of government instituted medical kind of situations talking about bring your male child here, bring your female child here for female genital mutilation. Yet you see that with circumcision here in males. Here in Kenya, I've been in situations where you're driving around Nairobi, Kenya, capital city, very modern city and things like that, civilized and things like that. Yet you'll just be driving around and then you'll see a procession of people, this boy in paint and things like that, these people walking behind him, chanting with signs and things like this. And what's going on there? Is it someone's birthday? Is someone's event? No. It's a preteen or a teenager going through their circumcision ceremony in a capital city when you have access to internet, you have access to all these things, and they're just going to circumcise this boy. It's a thing that's done, but because it's boys, because it's males, it's treated in a different way. So let me get the article, and I'll read a couple of these actual ones from the sense, the way it was written originally about husbands. Okay, so here's one, the selfish one. This is the type who will check in on the wife 60 times in a day, asking stupid questions. You hear the wife trembling saying, Guy, Baba Devi is almost calling. I need to rush home. They will not allow their wives to enjoy a weekend of gossip, laughter, pombe, and adultery. So here, they're talking about a situation where the wife would be allowed to go out and commit adultery. Yes, you shouldn't allow the person you're with to go out to commit adultery. By definition, if they're allowed to do it. Is it still adultery? I don't know how that happens. In the polyamorous things, does that count? I don't know about the biblical actual aspect of it. Is it just sleeping with somebody at all considered adultery? Let's say you marry a porn star or you marry a sex worker that's in the sex industry that has sexual relations. Now, if it's even on the spectrum of that, what if you marry an actress or an actor who actually goes through this, who kisses other people, who romances other people, but it's an act? Now, does that count as adultery? That's a question. If you guys are Christian, if you guys believe, or just if you have an opinion on this, is it adultery, or does adultery have to be kind of behind someone's back? But this thing, they have this thing where they talk about how men are not keeping in touch as much, but then when they do 60 times a day is a lot. I mean, I do know, like, I personally, if I had a relationship with somebody, I don't understand why people get in a relationship and then don't see each other, don't talk. Like, oh, I don't see my wife and my. Look, why? Why are you with the person if you don't want to see the person? I can imagine wanting to actually be with somebody to the point. I mean, I think this is a prerequisite for me to actually want to marry somebody is to want to be around them for as much as possible. So if it's a day, if it's a work day thing, you work at different places and you have maybe 6 hours off, calling in at lunch or a couple other times, sending some texts, things like that. I understand, but then 60 times a day, that's a lot. Well, I get that, that's a lot, but kind of this whole thing, like, the Palm Bay adultery. Women in general, you go out to bars here, and there's a lot of situations where women go out in groups and they're out there having fun, they're drinking and things like that. And I've seen some situations where women seem to initiate relations a lot more here in Kenya. But then, even with some of them that I've talked to who do initiate that situation, who are more out there, who will go out and buy drinks, a round of drinks for the table. These are women that work. They'll buy a round of drinks for the table. They'll buy drinks from other males who come out and things like that for their friends and things like that. But when you talk to them about actual relationships, a lot of them, even the ones who are born here in Nairobi, Kenya, are still very traditional when it comes to the actual marriage situation. They'll still expect you to go through the bride price thing where you'll have to meet their parents and pay like a certain things between the two families. And when you have this thing, it's mostly to keep the families together, where it's kind of a planned thing. They don't normally necessarily always think you're going to pay these 10 goats, um, these household implements, and these other things all at once in front before you marry the person. It's you come to this situation where you sit and you have this meet between the families. It's an interesting thing. I think I'd do a separate video on this actual thing. Where you sit and have, I've been to one event like this where you sit and you have this conversation, and then the fathers of the families, the fathers that are, I think it was the mothers present, I think it's like the fathers, but they're not allowed to speak. Their uncle or a representative speaks in behalf of them, and then the rest of the family's there. And you set up the thing, then you set up a payment schedule or something. So like maybe 50% will be paid ahead, and then you go to each other's homes and things like that. And it's supposed to be a thing to set up so you guys can continue having meetings between the families to make different payments as you go on. Because normally the wife or the husband would leave that house. Normally the wife would leave that house and come to the husband's house when you have the situation of a bride price being paid. And in the past, it was a situation where you didn't see each other. Where this village could have been somewhere far away. It was hard to just travel. You're in a subsistence like farming kind of society, so you don't have time to just take siestas and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go visit the folks like 100 miles away or 100 kilometers away or however long away it is for like a couple of weekends or like a weekend. No, you'd stay at home and you wouldn't see each other that much. But then now it's like, okay, so we know in 6 months we have to go and take another goat. So that would be an organization to now you set up, and those people know in 6 months they're coming with another goat. So they're going to come at that point, and then that's going to be a meeting, and that's going to keep the families together and things like this. So that's part of that. Now let's go to another one. This one, the calm soul. Help me understand this. Why would a man have a wife, pay rent, sort out the house bills, punish his kids when they fart loudly, and when he gets home from the pub at 2 in the morning, his missus refuses to open the door, and then the man-child sleeps in the cold? Any Nairobi husband enduring this cold treatment? If so, drop us a mail. I don't know if actually people send in and they talk about this, but with this one, they're talking about this situation. And this is one thing I haven't really understood. Even in the United States of America, you see this in films and things like that, when someone's like, go sleep on the couch. And women do have certain powers in the household, but when the situation, if it's a situation where the man is paying all the bills and they're not allowed to sleep in the house, that thing's always weird to me out. Like, why is it go sleep on the couch? If you have a problem with me, you go sleep on the couch. You go get a hotel room. Don't tell me to leave. Like, don't kick me out of the house. You have to get it. I think I haven't really understood that whole thing where it's like you go sleep on the couch. And in this situation, I do understand the man should be more like responsive, and this marriage counseling and things like that. But this other one, game equal down. We have Nairobi husbands whose wives sleep with anything in trousers, and everyone in the neighborhood does it except him. Well, in most cases, it's because game yake equal down. This is a whole thing where it's like, just like you see in some of these ones, I literally just switched out the terms from male into female, and it was exactly the same. And yeah, so the man isn't doing enough. And this is what happens a lot in the world when it comes to cheating women. Women cheat as much, if not more, than men, but they just don't get caught. And I think part of it is because they don't have to initiate as much. They're the ones receiving. They're receiving so many offers in these situations, in many cases, a lot more than men. that gets to the point where they can just live their life exactly the same as they would. Okay, not exactly the same, because I think once you're taking these things in, your life is going to change. But they don't have to change much of what they do besides just receive things, just be more receptive to certain things, and then just delete messages and things like this. The person will still keep sending them. I think when the man does it, they have to do more things. They have to move more things around. They have to spend more money into things. They're not just spending time. They have to like initiate things. Think about how I'm going to impress this person, get this person to location A to B. Whereas I think with women, the man is doing a lot more of the planning in the situation. All they got to do is show up and have the relations, and then that could be a cheating situation. So I think that's part of why you have this situation. But one thing for sure is when it comes to women cheating on men, it's often, what did he do? What didn't he do? And that also comes to this abuse situation. The mistreated type. The wife beats the ushenzi out of him. Research indicated that every 37th second, a man is mistreated and abused by women. Our city hosts a host of good men whose wives terraza them like they do their kids. And the sad thing is that the men act macho and strong, only to deflate when their kids in front of his friends and colleagues say, Mama lisema usonge na mama Nel, atakuchapa kama ile siku. Right here, this is a thing. And the 37-second thing, there's going to be a link below to an article that actually goes into that. There's more studies being done into this, which I think is a positive thing. We do need to have more information and openness on this to actually talk about this, because this doesn't happen in a vacuum. Some of these violent situations, we see that with school shooters, we see this with other violent people, where it's not just the initiation of thing. We even see this with terrorists. I'm not apologizing for terrorists, but a terrorist doesn't just get out, wake up in the morning, let's say have like a brain tumor or something really wrong with them, and decide, I'm going to go out and kill myself and take all these other people with me for the suicide situation. They have to have situations, whether right or wrong, whether you agree with them or wrong, or don't. There's a bunch of things behind that decision. So right here, they're talking about how some of these situations where men start this violence and kill their spouses, or vice versa, it happens because the other person has been getting at them in other ways as well. It doesn't just happen in a vacuum. So women do this. And I think seeing this is a positive thing. And the way kids are affected in this, they see this and then they do it again. That's a really tough thing. And this whole macho and strong thing, it's not macho to be abused. I mean, so coming out and then you might have to question your masculinity. And people might think they question their masculinity if they actually don't actually go in and admit that this has happened or that how they got into that situation. But this also happens. Their parents were doing this and then they get in a situation where the mother was abusive to their father in some way or to them as they were kids. And then they grow up and they think this is part of love, and it's not. It definitely isn't. It's a tough situation to be in. And yeah. So he sleeps with men. That one is also straightforward. Women, your husband could be gay. It's not that bad. The president said it's a non-issue. This is a situation where, I don't know. I think this is going to happen more in the future, though, where marriage itself, I think, is for raising kids. And I don't know how healthy or unhealthy this would be if you have situations where there's also just other benefits of marriage, where you have two people, let's say you're not even actually interested with the person. This might work better. Let me know what you guys think about this. This might be like blasphemous to some people. Where you have a situation where you and your friend, male or female, are not into each other sexually, but maybe you want to adopt or something. One of you can't have kids, or some situation you're too old, or whatever the situation is, but you decide, hey, I'm going to actually marry this person because I actually trust this person enough. I know we can build a business together, we can live together well, we understand each other, and then you get to the situation. But I think, no, this is already wrong. I was going to say you have that situation, then you two get married, and then you raise a kid together, or you just get married for the benefits of being married that some societies do bestow upon married couples. Though, if you are in the situation where you are put together enough to have somebody of the opposite sex or the same sex as you to actually live together with you and be equipped and things like that, chances are you could also find that in somebody who you're romantically attracted to. I think so, yeah. Anyway, moving on for this. The top one was Dume Suruali. It's going to be the last one I go over a bit. The title says it all. So this is talking about we can't all be winners. Some career-wise won themselves lazy bums for husbands. The wife buys his underwear, toothbrush, cigarettes, alcohol, condoms, and socks. She buys, fuels, and services his car. Heck, she even pays fees for the husband's siblings and takes care of the family. It's not that bad, though. Is it not written, and the two shall become one in holy matrimony? And what a man can do, a woman can do right? So in this situation, this is just a flipping of gender roles, and this doesn't work. It's been shown that when the man takes on more like household roles that are traditionally female, the relationships don't end up that well. Now, this could be something more to do with just the makeup of the people that would get in these situations, rather than the expectations of it. But I think biologically, evolutionarily, the societies that we created are based off our biology and how we evolved have these gender roles and things. It's traditional for a reason. There's certain reasons why those things were there, and I don't think we're completely out of those yet. So some people might be able to do it, but I think most people can't. And this whole situation where it's like, this is essentially just what you see when a wife does this, a stay-home mother does this, and I know stay-home mother is key, because if it's a stay-home wife or stay-home husband, that's different. But marriage, to me, the main purpose is having kids. So if you're stay home and you're actually raising the kids, you haven't shipped your kids off to mass indoctrination centers where they're getting treated in this different ways there, and you haven't outsourced all your all your things to technology and things like that. You're actually doing things with your time and giving back to the relationship and to your kids. That's actually a lot of things, but that's not stuff that you're actually being paid for. I don't think that's things that you should be paid for directly. And I think there's some previous ones here where I was talking about how it's like people are like, yeah, oh, like this is somebody's job. That stuff at home is stuff that you do regardless. If your husband died, this is the kind of thing I think about. People say women should be paid to do certain things. So if you are in a relationship with your husband and you like your husband, you like your kids, you're saying, why don't I get paid for the stuff I'm doing at home? Think about this. If your husband died in a freak accident, if your spouse died in a freak accident, would you stop doing the things that you were doing at home? Or would you do more things? Would you decide, okay, maybe I have to work. Maybe I have to find another man to provide the funds or another woman to take care of my kids. Think about the things you do in the relationship that you would do if your spouse passed. Those are things that you're doing because you want to do them and you don't necessarily have to get paid for them. And chances are that person likes you and loves you and cares for you and does the things they do as well because you're doing these things. There's a trade there, there's a trade-off in the relationship. So I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I myself cook, clean, I can do these things. I don't mind having somebody else do this and help these, if divisional labor kind of situation where if they're doing those things and I'm doing other things, I think that's a positive thing. That's a cool thing. Did I talk about this last one? The he sleeps with men thing? Husband could be gay. The president said it's not an issue. So this one is kind of a situation where he's talking about, yeah, I did talk about that, but kind of cool. The president of Kenya just said, yeah, it was just a throwaway thing. It's not that big of an issue, this homosexuality thing, as some people make it seem in the United States of America. I think this situation, there's some countries where it is really ridiculous. But in general, there's a gecko over there. In general, they have a situation where it's, in general, I don't think talking to people, it doesn't come up that often. Maybe because they're just not as open. I know some openly, flamboyantly gay people who don't really seem to have that issue, but then again, I might be self-selecting in the people that I hang out with and know and talk to who are in a certain group of more open-minded people. I haven't really, canvassed or checked how it is in the rural areas and the upcountry areas or things like that. But, yeah. So, that's it. Now I'm going to play this short video. I don't know if this was the same magazine. There was, I found a green mamba in the compound. I killed the green mamba, and I was getting this paper to kind of dispose of the body of the green mamba. Then I found this actually insert of a magazine, Eve magazine, which is targeted towards women, and just gave kind of a flip through of it for you guys to see more what kind of material is being targeted towards females. And it's kind of different things happen for the same reasons. The same things happen for different reasons. Human beings are human beings. Any society, any culture that does not put some importance, if not a lot of importance, towards what the main constricting factor in reproduction, the female, the golden uterus, they hold that. They decide, in 99% of the cases, they decide who gets access to reproduction. If you don't kind of pay attention to that, target them, put some attention towards that. I keep saying attention, 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 attention! If you don't do that, your society is not going to be successful. So here is a magazine in Kenya that's actually going towards women. There's no equivalent magazine I've seen of this in the newspapers saying Adam, like Adam magazine, where it's just towards. And people would say, oh, that's the sports section, that's the rest. But no, this is targeted material to women. So see the kind of material that's being targeted towards women here in Nairobi, Kenya. And yeah, thanks. Okay, so thanks for watching. Hope you guys bared with me at that start. I don't know if there's going to be a way where I could be more clear that I was kind of doing a parody on it, but I kind of wanted people to take it in as it actually was. So let me know what you guys think about this format. There's a couple of other things that I'm coming up with this. I think I think I like this kind of format on my channel. I'm going to try to do more of these where I actually go in and script some stuff and actually write some, put a little more thought. But I also kind of like the off the cuff ones. Off the cuff thing, like Conor McGregor just went crazy on some person or something. Conor McGregor's a UFC fighter. If you guys know about that, just a little aside. There's this thing people say you can't take the N out of guy. You can take the N out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the N. This is the kind of situation with Conor McGregor. People don't realize Conor McGregor actually. Some people don't realize he grew up in like the hood of Ireland, so he is a hood ass nigga. So he actually has that, and that behavior is still coming out. But anyway, that's just like a random thing thrown in there. Off now to the part of the Women's Eve magazine, and yeah.
Yeah, just a quick short video. This is Eve magazine. This is a magazine that comes every Saturday in the Standard, and it goes with it's for women, feisty, feminine, and fabulous. So this whole, I mean, this is just I'm using this as an example of some of that counter against Kenya or Africans being so patriarchal and anti-female. This actually also targeting towards female, all life forms, at least sexually dimorphic life forms where the female controls reproduction as they do in human beings, are gynocentric to some extent. If you aren't gynocentric, focusing on the female, you are not going to have another generation. That's how it normally happens. Just some headlines. I already removed the center pages to do something over there. To wrap a snake in it. Anyway, that's a separate video. But yeah, so Charity Ngilu, this is one of the earlier one of the three first female governors. Just some of the articles in here, and similar articles to things that you see in the United States of America or other places. So 27, medical doctor and vice president of an advocacy group working towards world peace and nuclear disarmament around the world. How did she get there at such an early age? She says she was steered, it was sheer luck, but it wasn't sheer luck, but focused, deliberate, and dreaming, etc. So yes, Kenyan dream. She's done a lot in her life. She's doing stuff. Agony of misdiagnosis. So this is just women's health issues. Workout stuff. Favorite subject in school. Why are you here? You guys out of here. Out. You're not supposed to be here. Yeah, they have more of this like fashionable, modest type stuff. Like this is kind of like the Amish stuff, where it's like they're still covering up, but they're still fashionable and stuff like that. But it's not the full-on hijab. Gets the same job done. Deal with their entrenchment, rumors. It's like workplace issues. Sex robots by Mom and Chief. I don't know who this is coming from, but I guess this sex robots thing. I've seen some things in the West about how they tried to ban sex robots. But here, you can see that it's also coming here. So, Mom and Chief, I don't know if this is somebody who actually writes for them. I'm not going to read the article. Is my wife having an affair with a priest? Now, this one is, I think, more uniquely Kenyan. You know, is this picture? This guy's so happy. I don't know. This happens a lot. The separation between society and church is not that big here. People are very faithful. Like I said, I removed the middle image here. When should I stop breastfeeding? I hope they're saying 18 months. I don't know. It's supposed to be 18 months, but this is some knowledge that's not known by people in the West and here in Kenya, but it's spreading. I hope they say up to 18 months. I think it's supposed to be up to 18 months, and for the first 6 months, it's supposed to be just breast milk. It's something I found out. I was doing research on my own, and also my sister has a 3-year-old nephew, and she did that, and good job, sis. I quit nursing to find my passion in decor. So, yes. Now, she's 32, married with 2 children. This is the kind of thing that women do. It's not just something that women do in the West. They take certain jobs that I'm thinking nursing has somewhat more time constraints. It's out of the office. It's out of the home. You're working with a lot of people. You don't have much control over your schedule. But with decor, you do. I think you can still do a lot of work. You can choose to work more hours than you do with nursing. But in nursing, you're called to the hospital. You have to be in the hospital. With interior decoration, you can do a lot of interior decoration. I've done some design stuff, and I think you can do interior decoration even from your home, from your house. So you can do it in that sense. You don't have to be in the office. It's more conducive, I think, to raising a family if you want to be a present parent in that situation. Just saying. So I'm not saying it's a negative thing that happens, but this happens, and there was a doctor shortage. They're bringing in doctors from Cuba to Kenya, and there was some doctors and some doctors union protesting against that because they're saying there are unemployed ones here. But then this kind of happened, so you have that kind of end of it where they're underemployed, the doctors here, but then you also have a situation where people are coming in. You also have some people who are leaving the actual field, or people learn nursing here and then they go to another country. Sage Foundation. So this is again, they're going to be investing military veterans, young people or women, girls in Africa. See Sage Foundation. So some military veterans, but a lot of programs focusing on women. This happens all over the world. There's women's programs all over the place. Let's smooth this out. Now you come to the beauty and design and stuff like that. And this is a regular thing you find in women's magazines. Don't outshine the price in makeup. Know your role. Stay in your lane. Don't come to my wedding and outshine me. Mr. Grooves is a guy told flat jokes until I found my groove. Whatever. I guess this is about, I don't know. Before comedy. He's a comedian here in Kenya. He probably gets on the Churchill show and things like that. But anyway, now the chatter-free kitchen. So yeah, this is just an example of a magazine here. Some food stuff. Beware of men with sweet tongues. She wants to homeschool your child. I think it's a good thing. 7 outlandish things my father did. Yeah. So this is just an example of a magazine. I'm going to get back to the actual thing I was doing. Goodbye. Yeah, so lastly, this is just a fashion designer here in Kenya. And some of the things I was seeing in the Black Panther film, or like Wakanda outfits, what I was saying is kind of cool to see that because I'd seen similar things here in Kenya, in Africa. Some fashion designers doing some pretty cool stuff here. So this is kind of the stuff that some people had first seen for probably the first time in their lives by watching Black Panther has been going on here in Kenya. So it's kind of cool to see that way, but it's a little... So you have to see it in the film first, but this material is still there. I mean, these pictures are online. If you want to search Kenyan fashion and things like that, you can find this information. I'm going to see if I can actually find the name of this person. I already ripped out the pages as I was telling you inside, but there we go. I don't know. Street talk. No, fitness. No, it's the cover. Model. Agency. Makeup artist, stylist assistant, stylist Lucy, Robbie, maybe, but check out Velour Modeling Agency. Maybe you'll find it there.